Hi everybody and welcome to this short recording. This time I'm going to be looking at severance and injurious affection, which is if you remember, this is the second item in the various heads of claims when making a compulsory purchase claim. So what is severance and injurious affection? It's really sort of two occasions where there may be a heading under this claim. The first might be where some land is taken, but the owner of that land has another parcel or plot of land remaining, as in not all of their property was taken by expropriation or compulsory purchase, and the other is when no land is taken. So when there is land taken, then there's two basic items that can be claimed for under UK law. And the first is for severance. That is part of the land has somehow been severed and there's injury from that to the remaining piece of land. And the other is injurious affection. And that is basically caused by the use of works. As in, let's imagine there was a new road constructed that took away some of an owner's land, and that road is now busy with lots of traffic, and that has meant that the remaining land plot has depreciated in value. That is, there has been some injurious affection. And actually there's two components to this. That could be both the execution of works, in this example, actually creating the road, and it can also be the use of the works, as in, as I said, like the heavy traffic on the road. Second situation, when no land is taken, well, they may qualify for injurious affection caused by the use of works only. It's possible they can qualify for injurious affection caused by the execution of works. This is actually quite difficult to prove, and it's only possible where there's an interference with a right. And we'll look at some examples later. So let's have another look at severance. I think this is the best way to explain it. Here we can see a land plot bounded in yellow on the left, and perhaps the owner of this land has permission to build some residential properties, let's say several blocks of apartments. And the land is situated in between what looks like two roads. You see this one line on the left, which runs from the bottom of the picture up to the top. And then there's another one on the right that's shaded in blue, which runs from the bottom of the picture up to the right. Now let's imagine that a local authority wishes to take part of this plot to build a new road in between these two other roads. Well, you can see bound in red, what has happened is this red dashed line will be the land taken for the road, and that leaves two other plots of land, plot A and plot B. And of course, under that dashed line, there'll be some land that is taken, and the owner will be compensated for that at the market value of that land. But they also may have a claim for severance. And this is because if we look at in particular look at plot B, there's now quite an unusual shape, and it's no longer possible to build what was capable before. As in, rather than building large blocks of flats, the owner may now be limited to, say, a few houses, and they may therefore have a claim for severance, as in the per square meter or square foot or per acre or per hectare of this land is now reduced. Maybe in this case, plot A, it says it hasn't diminished in value, it's still quite large. But of course, there could be situations where it might be. So let's think a bit more about severance. It's basically when damage is caused by the severing of land taken from other lands of the owner. It can be the damage caused by one piece of an owner's land being separated from other parts by construction works. Injurious affection. This is caused by either the execution of works, the actual building of a road, as in reduces the value of a property. Doesn't have to be a road. Could be a train line, some other piece of infrastructure, or anything really with where land is being expropriated for public goods. And then there's the use of works. The example I've used, of course, was the heavier traffic. So the compensation, well, where land is taken, then in UK law, then it's written into Section 7 of the Compulsory Purchase Act 1965. Now remember this, each CPO requires certain powers, such as an Act of Parliament. And in this case, the compensation will be assessed once and for all, and they cannot claim a second time for any other damages later that could have been reasonably foreseen. Where no land is taken, there are rights, but they are a little bit more limited. And there's basically two possible reasons. Again, from the execution of works. This time we're talking under Section 10 of the Compulsory Purchase Act 1965, and then arising from the increased use of the road or of the property. This is part 1 of the Land Compensation Act 1973. And this act actually provides for payment of compensation where the value of an interest in land is depreciated by physical factors caused by the use of works. And it actually specifies what these factors are, saying noise, vibration, smell, fumes, smoke, artificial lighting, and the discharge onto the land in respect of which the claim is made of any solid or liquid substance. Now, remember, we have to make this distinction. I can't stress enough. The claim for injurious affection can be because of execution of works, such as construction of road, or the subsequent use of works. For example, traffic on the road. You can claim for both when no land is taken when possible, but in effect, there's two different causes to the reduction in value. And it's actually very easy to claim when land is taken, and very difficult to claim both when land is not taken. So here's an example. We see West Street running from left to right at the top right of the screen. And then we have South Road, which forms a junction with West Street. Now we've got 3 owners here, number 6, number 8, and number 10 West Street. And each of we imagine has approached us regarding a claim for compensation. Now, numbers 6 and 10 have no land taken by this compulsory purchase scheme, but number 8 will have some land taken. About 10 square meters of land from number 8 at the junction between West Street and South Road. And this is this triangular patch shown in pink. What we know from our research is that detached properties in this neighbourhood are worth £300,000 when situated on quiet local roads. And evidence shows that similar properties, say with the benefit of sound insulation, are worth only £270,000 when located on busy arterial roads in this area, such as will be created by the scheme. We're also told that garden land is worth £10 per square metre. So how to approach this? Well, it's probably easier to start with numbers 6 and 10. They're quite similar. We set out 4 heads of claim. First of all, land taken is nil. They are having no land expropriated. The compulsory purchase order does not cover any of their land. Severance and injurious affection, yes. Although land is not being severed, there will be an injurious affection. The loss in value, we're told, caused by both the execution of works and subsequent use is £30,000. These properties were worth, looking back, £300,000. And once this road is widened, once West Street road widening scheme has occurred, these houses will now be worth £270,000. We're not exactly told what the reduction will be based on the execution of works and what it will be from subsequent use. In this example, we're assuming that there'll be a £5,000 loss from the execution of works, the physical building, widening of the road, but the extra traffic will contribute about £25,000 worth of depreciation, and therefore that claim will be £25,000. What about disturbance? Well, as we'll show in another video, these do not qualify for disturbance because in order to qualify for disturbance, you have to be expropriated, and they're having no land taken from them. They're not being dispossessed from anything. They will qualify under the 4th heading, other claimable items, and that is what fees might be associated with this claim. There could be legal fees, a surveyor or an appraiser, valuer may have to be appointed, and also the local authority should be offering sound insulation as standard. What about number 8? It's a little bit different. They will lose some land. They're going to have 10 square meters lost, and we're told that 10 square meters are worth only £10 per square meter, and therefore £100 compensation. Severance and injurious affection. Well, the remaining property is reducing in value. We're told it's by about £30,000. That was some amount of money for the execution of works, which will take part of their road away, part of their garden away to make a road, and part of will be the subsequent use of the scheme, and that will cause about £25,000 worth of damage to the value of the property. So they can claim for both £30,000 under Section 7 of the Act. Can they claim for disturbance? Well, they are being expropriated. They are being dispossessed. They're being forced out of their garden, part of their garden, 10 square meters. This is likely to be very low. It could be nil. It's kind of difficult to think what the sort of disturbance could be here. Perhaps cleaning up dust or rubble caused by the works might be something. What about other claimable items? Well, yes, again, the authority should be offering sound insulation. This is under Part 2 of the 1973 Act. And they may also have to make good the boundary wall. The part of the garden has been removed, so they will have to fix that, maybe put in a new hedge or wall or railings, depending on what was there before. And of course, they may be able to claim any possible fees associated, such as their own legal fees, or the appraiser, the surveyor, the valuer, and so on. Now, let's look at this example again, the same scenario, but slightly different now. And now this West Street is going to be built in such a way that the owners at number 10 will no longer be able to enjoy access to their driveway. It'll be unsafe to turn into it, and the driveway will have to be blocked up. No land is being taken from them. They're going to have the same size of land plot as before. It's just that access will now be prevented. Now that there is an interference with a real right, this satisfies what are commonly called the McCarthy rules, coming from a specific piece of legislation, past legislation, a court case rather, and written into the 1965 Act of Section 10. And that is Rule 1, the injury to the adjoining landowner's land arises from acts authorised by Parliament, i.e. by statute. And in this case, the compulsory purchase has to be, the action here by the authority has to be done with an act of Parliament. The second rule is that injury must be actionable, but for the statutory authority. That is, it's the sort of thing that the owners would be able to sue or pursue in a court, except they can't now because of this law has been created to cover the CPO. Rule 3, there must be injury to the value of the land. If there was no injury, then there would be no point in the claim. Here, in this situation, we're talking about them losing a driveway, and that's an interference with a real private right. That will definitely be an injury to the value of their property. And again, the damage here must arise from the execution of works and not for their subsequent use. Now, like we said before, there will be damage from subsequent use, but that is claimed elsewhere. And if you want more guidance, I've put a link in here for the UK Land Compensation Manual covering what happens when no land is taken. So if we look at the typical claim here, number 10 will suffer from an interference with a private right. Land taken, of course, is nil. Severance and injurious affection. Well, there's a loss in value caused by both the execution of works and subsequent use, and both of these amount to £30,000. They can claim for both, as the McCarthy rules are satisfied. They can claim for depreciation for the execution under Section 10 of the 1965, and then another claim for subsequent use under the 1973 Act. Now, will they qualify for disturbance? Well, no land is taken, so I guess this would be nil. But business losses sustained by a company are recoverable, or would be recoverable. So if there were any disturbance, then I think it's fair to say that they would be possible. What would happen though is the authority, as well as offering the sound insulation and making good the boundary wall, they would probably, or they would have to offer the building of a new driveway, perhaps from South Road, and making good the garden that was the former driveway. Possible fees associated with the claim as well, legal, surveyors, etc. Let's have a look at another example. Here we have Main Road, and we can see that there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, several houses here going to be affected. If we can see at number 14, it has its own access from Main Road. And we can see what's called an improvement line, which is the widening of the road. And it's going to take part of this bank, topped with a quick thorn hedge. It looks like it's going to take part of the garden at number 2. It's going to take a very small part of the garden at number 4. In the first instance. I would say that number 8 here has access from this little road that comes off Main Road as well. And let's imagine that you've been asked to settle claims for 2 and 4 and have done successfully. But now something is going to happen, a new action. If we say here, a new action that will block off the access at A, and will create a new access at this point X, shown by the green arrow. What we can see here coloured in yellow is the part of number 2 that has been taken, and the part of the garden of number 4 is also shown here in blue. So the red X shows where the road access will now be blocked, and the green arrow shows where a new access will have to be made as part of this action. And what will happen is that because of this new access at point X, for example, what was point X in green, then the part of the driveway to number 8 will be blocked off. It will be completely unusable. And a new driveway shown by this blue arrow will have to be built. Now this is although no land is being taken from number 8, this obviously satisfies the McCarthy rules, for there is an interference with a real right. Number 8 was valued at £250,000, but now with this new driveway and losing part of its garden, the execution of works has meant that it's now only going to be worth 243,000, so a slight reduction in value. Again, that shows the end of severance and injurious affection. The next item to look at will be disturbance. Thank you for listening.